Last night, Tommy Sotomayor's channel got deleted again. And this time, he's pointing fingers at some surprising names, including Anton Daniels and Red Supreme. But here's the thing. Tommy has a history of drama, bans, and blaming others instead of facing the truth. Was this a targeted attack, or just the result of him refusing to adapt to YouTube's rules? Today, we're breaking down the chaos, the accusations, and the shocking reality behind Tommy's latest meltdown, and you won't believe some of the claims he's making. Last night, while casually scrolling through YouTube to unwind after a long day, I stumbled across a familiar name in my subscription feed. My brother LTV was live. Out of pure habit, I almost kept scrolling, but the title of his stream stopped me mid-swipe. It read, "Tommy Sotomayor, your channel deleted again." That alone was enough to make me pause. I've followed the ups and downs of YouTube creators for years, and Tommy's name has always been tied to some sort of controversy, ban, or comeback attempt. Seeing that title sparked instant curiosity. Naturally, I clicked into the stream, ready to see what all the fuss was about. The moment I joined, I was greeted with confusion, frustration, and a tone that can only be described as disbelief mixed with outrage. Tommy Sotomayor was, once again, trying to piece together the mystery of why his latest channel had been deleted. His reaction wasn't new, it was almost a routine at this point, but the way he was going about it made me stop and listen more closely. He was throwing out names like confetti, trying to identify who might be responsible. It was as if he were conducting a live investigation, but without any evidence, just pure speculation. "Maybe it was Anton Daniels," he said, calling him jealous, bald, dusting it up too. The tone was half serious, half sarcastic, but definitely bitter. Hearing Anton's name caught me off guard. I couldn't help but think, what does Anton have to do with your channel getting banned? It didn't make sense. Tommy's account was already under YouTube's radar, he'd been banned multiple times before. Accusing another creator of somehow being behind it just felt like another chapter in the same long, self-inflicted story. The more I listened, the more surreal it got. Tommy wasn't just upset, he was spiraling. He began suggesting that several YouTubers were working against him, forming some sort of alliance to get his content flagged. To me, it sounded like he was grasping for answers to avoid facing the obvious, that his repeated violations of YouTube's community guidelines had finally caught up with him once again. At one point during the live, I decided to interact. I dropped a super chat, mostly because I wanted to see if he'd respond directly to my question about Anton's supposed involvement. That's when I realized how deep this blame game had gone. Tommy wasn't just casually speculating anymore. He was convinced that other creators, specifically Anton Daniels and another well-known name, Red Supreme, were deliberately targeting him out of jealousy or resentment. Now, anyone familiar with this corner of YouTube knows that drama, feuds, and he said, she said moments are part of the ecosystem. But this felt different. It felt desperate. Tommy was animated, almost theatrical, jumping from one accusation to another, naming different people he believed were out to get him. It was hard not to notice the irony. A man who's built much of his career on calling others out, now turning into the one lashing out when the tables turned. He kept circling back to Red Supreme, who he referred to simply as Red, and it became clear there was some personal tension there. From the way he spoke, it sounded like an ongoing feud that had escalated over time. Tommy seemed to think that Red and others were flagging his content to silence him because he was getting too popular again. He claimed that, during his short-lived return to YouTube, his views were surpassing theirs, and that this supposed jealousy drove them to sabotage his progress. But to anyone listening objectively, it was easy to see that Tommy's downfall wasn't about envy or conspiracy, it was about his refusal to adapt. YouTube has changed drastically over the years. The rules, the audience expectations, and even the tone of content creation have evolved. What worked a decade ago doesn't fly today. The platform has become stricter about harassment, hate speech, and divisive commentary, all of which have been recurring themes in Tommy's content. Still, listening to him, I couldn't help but feel a mix of frustration and sympathy. On one hand, his accusations were outlandish and unfounded. On the other, there was a trace of nostalgia, a man clinging to the glory days of early YouTube, when shock value and raw opinions could skyrocket a creator to fame overnight. Tommy was one of the early pioneers of that style, and for a time, it worked. But the internet grew up, and unfortunately, he didn't grow with it. As the stream went on, I noticed something else. The chat was divided. Some viewers egged him on, agreeing that certain creators might be out to get him. Others were blunt, telling him to stop blaming people and take responsibility. That dynamic mirrored a larger truth about Tommy's current position in the YouTube world. He still has loyal supporters, but has lost the respect of many who once admired his raw honesty. By the end of the stream, it was clear that this wasn't just about a deleted channel, it was about pride, ego, and denial. Tommy Sotomayor wasn't just fighting YouTube's policies, he was fighting time itself. The platform had evolved, the community had moved forward, and yet he was still stuck in the same cycle of blame and banishment. His frustration wasn't really about Anton Daniels or Red Supreme, it was about his inability to accept that the rules had changed and that his old ways no longer worked. As I closed the stream, I couldn't help but reflect on how many creators fall into this same trap. Fame, once earned, becomes hard to let go of. Tommy's story, in many ways, is a cautionary tale for anyone trying to build a long-term career online. Adapt or disappear. No amount of finger-pointing can change that. And while his rants might still pull views for a while, the reality is simple. If you keep breaking the rules, YouTube will eventually show you the door, no matter who you are or how loud you shout on your way out. Tommy kept referring to him simply as Red, so let's unpack what's really going on. At one point, Tommy started blaming my brother, Red Supreme, suggesting that some personal tension or ongoing feud between them might be behind his channel being shut down. The thing is, Tommy Sotomayor has had countless YouTube channels removed over the years. I've been around since 2015, but even before that, back in 2012 or 2013, he was already getting channels taken down. YouTube's long-standing rule is clear. If your account is terminated for hate speech, harassment, or policy violations, you're permanently banned from creating another. Yet, back in the day, it was much easier to slip through the cracks. Tommy would simply open a new channel every time one was deleted, sometimes juggling 10 at once until the next round of bans hit. Eventually, he tried moving to other platforms like Rumble and X, but his presence was never quite the same. Over time, YouTube evolved, the culture shifted, creators got smarter about their content strategies, and Tommy's style stayed stuck in the past. His relevance started fading, and so did his reputation. In my view, Tommy's downfall wasn't just about YouTube policies, it was also about trust. He earned a reputation as one of the most notorious scammers among content creators, which ultimately overshadowed his natural talent. And then I saw this movement. Stand with Tommy Sotomayor, restore his online presence. I couldn't help but laugh. Who does he think he is? For those unfamiliar, Tommy's legacy is controversial. He once claimed credit for helping Donald Trump get elected twice, for popularizing harsh talk about weaves and single mothers, and for supposedly inspiring more Black Americans to embrace patriotism. But at this point, all of that seems like distant noise compared to the wreckage his own actions have caused. Tommy went on to boast that he once brought many Black Americans into the Republican Party, using that as part of his pitch for support. He's now claiming he needs $250,000 to hire a representative who can speak with officials at YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook about why he keeps getting banned. On top of that, he says he wants to use the money to produce his next film, A Fatherless America 2. But honestly, stop the cap. He's been making these claims for years, insisting that if he can't return to YouTube, it's because of everyone else, when in reality, it just seems like another excuse to ask for money without purpose. As his rant continued, Tommy accused Red Supreme and other creators of flagging his content, claiming they were jealous because he was gaining more views than they were. He mocked them for having small audiences, saying they'd been streaming to the same 300 people for years. In his mind, their frustration was proof that they were threatened by his comeback. But if you look at the GoFundMe, it's clear Tommy's lost touch with reality. He still overestimates his influence. Back in 2015, he was a dynamic and naturally funny YouTuber with genuine charisma, but it's 2025 now, and times have changed. The YouTube landscape is different, creators have evolved, and audiences have moved on. Yet Tommy still believes he's the same powerhouse he was a decade ago, convinced that other YouTubers want him gone out of jealousy. In truth, though, the formula that once made him successful simply doesn't work anymore. The platform has matured, competition is stronger, and as creators grow older, it becomes harder to keep up with the shifting trends, something even I've personally experienced over the past year. Over time, even I've had to adjust parts of my own strategy just to stay relevant on YouTube. It's not easy, no creator is perfect, and the platform is constantly evolving. Trends shift, algorithms change, and audience expectations grow more sophisticated every year. What worked 5 years ago might get ignored today, and what worked yesterday might already feel outdated tomorrow. This reality affects everyone, from newcomers to creators who have been around for over a decade. For anyone trying to maintain a presence on YouTube, adapting is no longer optional, it's essential. You have to pay attention to changing formats, audience interests, editing styles, and even the types of discussions that resonate with viewers. When you build your brand around topics that are inherently polarizing, like weaves, single mothers, or men's rights, there's another challenge. You end up stuck in an echo chamber. Your audience becomes narrowly defined, your feedback loop gets smaller, and your content has less room to grow. Over time, newer and younger creators enter the space, often with sharper editing, stronger storytelling, and a better understanding of how to keep viewers engaged. They know how to create content that caters to the way audiences consume videos today: shorter attention spans, more interactive commentary, and visually dynamic formats. Their work tends to be more polished, consistent, and algorithm-friendly, which naturally attracts more views and engagement. For older creators who haven't adapted, that shift can feel threatening. Suddenly, you're no longer at the top of the hierarchy. The same topics and techniques that once made you popular no longer guarantee success. Rather than pivot or evolve, some creators lash out, looking for someone else to blame for their declining relevance. They point fingers at the competition, assuming that jealousy or sabotage explains their struggles. That's exactly where Anton Daniels' name comes up in the discussion. During one of Tommy Sotomayor's recent streams, a viewer asked if Anton was a hater or had a role in Tommy's repeated bans from YouTube. LTV responded that he doesn't personally know Anton, but he believes Anton's presence makes people uncomfortable. It was a vague and almost conspiratorial remark, implying that Anton's success somehow intimidates or threatens other creators. But if you examine the facts, the claim doesn't hold up. Anton Daniels operates multiple successful channels that consistently outperform Tommy's in both numbers and engagement. Even critics of Anton, myself included at times, have to acknowledge the reality. He has built a stable, adaptable platform that continues to thrive. He understands how to work within the system, collaborate strategically, and maintain relevance even as the platform and audience evolve. Given that, why would someone as successful as Anton feel uncomfortable simply because Tommy returned to YouTube? The idea doesn't make sense. It seems more likely that Tommy is attempting to construct a narrative where he is the victim of intimidation, where other creators are actively trying to block his comeback. By framing the situation this way, he avoids confronting the real issue. The platform has moved on without him. YouTube has grown, rules have tightened, and audience taste have changed. Simply returning to the platform and expecting the same success he had years ago isn't realistic. This pattern is common among creators who once enjoyed significant popularity but failed to adapt. Instead of analyzing their own shortcomings or experimenting with new content strategies, they externalize the blame, holding others responsible for their decline. The lesson here is clear: adaptation is key. Success on YouTube is not just about charisma or controversy, it's about understanding the platform's evolving dynamics and continuously improving your content. Those who resist change risk irrelevance, while those who innovate and adjust continue to thrive. Tommy's comments about Anton illustrate a broader problem: an inability to accept the reality of change, coupled with a tendency to blame others rather than recognize personal responsibility. Ultimately, it's not about who makes someone uncomfortable. It's about whether a creator is willing to evolve, or whether they are trapped in the past, unable to grow with the platform they once dominated. I actually made a video criticizing Anton Daniels last month, so I'm not coming at this as a fanboy or someone blindly defending him. But having observed the platform closely, it's clear that Anton has adapted remarkably well to the changing landscape of YouTube. Content or not, and I often don't, you can't deny the level of effort and strategy behind what he does. His channels thrive on reaction-style videos, which are typically short, punchy, and structured to capture viewers' attention quickly. He collaborates strategically with other creators, including prominent names like Charleston White, and consistently produces content that resonates with audiences. In short, Anton has figured out how to work within the system, and that level of adaptability is why he remains relevant on a platform that has changed drastically over the years. Contrast that with Tommy Sotomayor, who continues to toss Anton's name around in his streams, claiming that Anton's mere presence somehow makes him uncomfortable. The irony here is almost laughable when you consider the facts. Tommy has never built a channel anywhere close to 1 million subscribers, and the reason isn't talent. It's that he refuses to play by YouTube's rules. Building a channel of that scale requires discipline, consistent content, strategic planning, and an understanding of how to engage and retain audiences over time. Tommy's approach, by contrast, has always relied heavily on controversy, insulting others, generating outrage, and outright ignoring the platform's guidelines. That formula may have worked in the early days of YouTube when shock value could propel a creator to fame, but it doesn't work anymore. Algorithms are stricter, audiences are savvy, and platforms enforce rules more consistently. Adding to the confusion is that reports claim Tommy has even turned to questionable content on OnlyFans to make money, which has further diluted his brand and made it harder for audiences to take him seriously. He has built a reputation on controversy, but that approach alone isn't enough to sustain a long-term career in the digital space. What makes this situation particularly frustrating is the level of hypocrisy involved. Tommy positions himself as a black conservative who lectures others about accountability, often criticizing black women or the black community for perceived shortcomings. Yet when it comes to his own failures, he refuses to accept responsibility. Each time his channel is banned, he quickly shifts the blame onto others, Red Supreme, Anton Daniels, or any other creator who has managed to find success in spaces Tommy can't navigate. It's worth noting that Tommy's bans are not a new phenomenon. He has been facing repeated channel removals for years, yet he continues to insist that everyone else is at fault. He's unable to grow on X, unable to thrive on Rumble, and unlike creators such as Nick Fuentes, who have successfully expanded their audiences on alternative platforms, Tommy struggles to work with anyone. He repeatedly points fingers at creators who are more disciplined and successful than he is, rather than acknowledging that the root of the problem lies in his own strategies and choices. Watching this unfold is, frankly, sad. Tommy Sotomayor is a man who once had talent and a recognizable presence online, but he has become trapped in the past. His refusal to adapt, combined with a consistent pattern of deflecting responsibility, has prevented him from evolving with the platform. He seems unable to accept that his decline is the direct result of his own decisions, not some grand conspiracy by other creators. It's a cautionary tale about the importance of adaptability, accountability, and growth, essential traits for anyone hoping to maintain relevance in the ever-changing world of digital content creation. Instead of recognizing these lessons, Tommy remains stuck, blaming everyone else while the world moves on around him. Tommy still insists that he played a major role in getting Donald Trump elected, which is laughable when you look at the facts. The man doesn't even have 100,000 followers on X, yet he claims credit for influencing a president who has over 109 million. It's pure delusion, a refusal to take accountability for his own failures. What's even sadder is watching him attack creators who have adapted and found success in the space he once dominated. Instead of evolving, he's chosen to blame Anton Daniels, Red Supreme, and anyone else he can point a finger at. Tommy once had real potential, but now has fallen from grace, nearly 50 years old, down bad. Still trying to hustle money through GoFundMe campaigns and OnlyFans content, instead of rebuilding his credibility. And honestly, how do you get mad at YouTube for deleting your channel when you weren't even supposed to be on the platform in the first place? It's like getting fired from a job, sneaking back into the office, and then acting shocked when security kicks you out. The irony is that if someone else were doing what he's doing now, Tommy would roast them mercilessly for being foolish, and he'd probably be funny doing it. But he can't seem to see himself clearly anymore. Like many who once had their moment, he's trapped by nostalgia, unable to accept that the world has moved on and that he's no longer that guy. It's a hard truth, but one he needs to face.